Serious question. How y'all feel about paying for the box? Ladies, gentlemen, how y'all feel about paying for the box? And I'm not talking about an Xbox Series S or 360 or whatever it's called. I'm talking about the box. The box that supposedly runs the world, the little tuna box. How y'all feel about paying for that? This story picks up at the end of a video that I did here on the channel entitled How My Best Friend Secretly Tried to Get with My Girlfriend. So in this story, it starts with the phone conversation and a realization of something that I had no knowledge about. And that was that my best friend had secretly tried to get with my ex-girlfriend. And I'm going to explain why in this particular video and the conclusions that I was able to come to. During this conversation, I was talking about an ex-girlfriend of mine who is originally from Brooklyn, New York. I believe she had currently resided in Harlem, New York. Okay. Her name is Makeda. Excuse me for clearing my throat there. Her name is Makeda. Now, as I explained in the previous video, Makeda is different. Okay. She's very Erykah Badu like. She kind of gives off that same kind of that same kind of vibe. Okay. Now, on this particular conversation, I was debating with somebody who was a really good friend of mine's at the time. This guy named Macintosh. He and I served in the military together. We had been friends at that point for about maybe 20 years, something like that, right? So during this conversation, I was explaining to Macintosh what I'm explaining to you guys, that Makeda is kind of like Erykah Badu, that yeah, a lot of her pictures, even though she's nude in the pictures that she posts on social media, she's not posting those pictures for sexual attention. She's posting them for artsy purposes. You know what I mean? She wants to show off her body, show off her aesthetic, but not because she's trying to attract you to her, simply because she's trying to show you how she relates to and connects to her ancestors. Everything that she does is about relating to and connecting to our ancestors' way of life. This is one of the reasons why she likes to walk around barely dressed. When you think about Native Americans, when you think about Africans, when they're in their uh, in their natural geographic area, they're usually walking around with like similar clothing like Native Americans. They only cover up their genital areas. Maybe they'll have feathers on their wrapped around their arms, or something like that. She very much looks like that in a lot of her pictures. So while we're talking about this stuff, it gets to a point where I was explaining to him why, what I'm saying, I just, what I mean, that the stuff that she's into, like polyamorous lifestyle, she's bisexual. I didn't have a problem with her being bisexual and being attracted to other women. I actually found that to be incredibly attractive. But the polyamorous stuff, not being as particular about her sexual partners, simply because of the way she views sex, I was just like, nah, just wasn't my thing. She's still cool though. Um, and he was like, man, I mean, yeah, I mean, I feel you, but what I mean? I mean, to me, like, I kind of feel like you wasting that joint, Joe, because I would have kept that joint around. And I'm like, nah, man, you know, she's had a lot of partners. And again, I'm not passing judgment on her for that, but I can just tell based off of how she lives her lifestyle, she's had a lot of partners. And he was like, shit, she ain't, she probably she can't have had that many partners. I'm like, bruh, my nigga, I can guarantee you, Makeda has had more partners than both me and you combined. You have to consider Makeda, one, is an attractive woman with a very nice shape. Okay. Two, you have to consider that she is bisexual. So she's not only dealing with men, she's also dealing with women. And I actually think she prefers women. All right. You have to understand that to her, sex is not, it's not as intimate. Like she explained to me one time that she thinks open mouth kissing is more intimate than sexual intercourse. To her, sexual intercourse is like, the way she explained it, it's like playtime. It's like holding hands with a childhood friend at the sandbox or something like that. It's really not as serious as people make it. All right. That's three. And then four, because of how physically attractive she is, she uses that to barter. And what do I mean by that? I mean, let's say, for example, there's a photographer that does very nice work. And as I explained to you guys, she takes a lot of pictures unclothed and in an artsy way. right? Let's say that there's a photographer that she wants to photograph her. She'll contact said photographer and she wants to inquire about his prices because she wants to do a photo shoot. She likes his work or things of that nature, right? And he expresses to her, okay, we can work together. You know, this is what I normally charge people. Let's say he charges, I don't know what photographers charge, but let's say he says $1,000 for a photo shoot. And in that photo shoot, I'm going to edit all your pictures and do whatever the hell photographers do. She might say, well, $1,000 is a little much for me. I can't afford that. However, I mean, maybe after the photo shoot is done, you know, we can have sex and we can settle up that way. She will actually use sex to barter, kind of like prostitution in reverse, I guess. I don't fucking know. Where there's no money involved, but it's just I'm going to use my body to get the service from this person that I want, if that makes any kind of sense. Um, so I'm explaining to him, I'm like, nah, bro, she's been with, you know, she's never told me how many people she's been with, but just knowing how she lives her life, I'm pretty sure she's been with, you know, quite a few people. He's like, how many do you think? I'm like, shit, I don't know. Probably, if I had to guess, she's at that time, I think she was 30 years old, maybe somewhere 30, 31 years old. I'm like, I'm assuming if I had to take a guess, I'm thinking she's probably been with 80 or more people. And he's like, shit, nigga, shit. Son, I've been with over 100 women. Nigga, no the fuck you didn't. When the fuck was you with over 100 women? Nigga, are you forgetting that we best friends? We literally talk about everything. You forgetting that we was in the military. We spent every fucking day together and in some capacity, either communicating or we was out in Colombia. We was at a mall somewhere. We was together all the fucking time. When the fuck did you sleep with over 100 women? Nah, this shit ain't adding up, bro. Because in the military, I remember you had one girlfriend, bro. One girlfriend, and she was pregnant with another man's kid. And she tried to trick your monkey ass into thinking it was your baby. I remember her. That was Tanisha. Okay. After Tanisha, you told me that you were messing with one of the girls that we were in honor guard with, Clemens. Maybe you're telling the truth. I'm not going to doubt it. I mean, I'm just going to assume you're telling me the truth because I'm not the type of person that genuinely believes that somebody tells you a lie just for no fucking reason, right? So let's say Tanisha, then there was Clemens, um, and the only other girl I remember you being with was Kelly, and you were only with Kelly by proxy. And by proxy, I mean because I was messing with Felicia. Kelly is Felicia's best friend. You were my best friend. Kelly and you got tired of seeing me and Felicia always making out and doing all of these things. And it was just like, y'all are both third wheels. Y'all might as well get together just to pass the time. You got with her by proxy. There's three girls I remember you being with while we were in the military. I remember you approaching so many women while we were in the mall, while we were in clubs, wherever we may have been. I remember you approaching so many women. And I remember women like looking at you like, oh, I remember these looks, and I'm just like, damn, they really not feeling him like that. You know what I mean? So, okay, we take the three that I know you've been with. I don't know what you slept with prior to coming into the military, but I can only assume that your experience prior to coming into the military was similar as the experience you had while we were in the military. Okay, so I take into consideration all of that. There were a few other women that you said you slept with, and I'm not going to doubt that you slept with these women because they were strippers. Okay, there was one girl by the name of Erotica at a club in Columbia, South Carolina. The name of the club was called Pleasers, and I remember you told me that she came up to you. She was initiating conversation. She asked you if you wanted a private dance. And then you said, sure. She said, what kind of private dance do you want? Do you want the regular or do you want the special one? The difference, the regular is 20, the special one is 60. And you was like, what's the special one? Let's do the special one because I want to see what this chick gonna do. And then you go in a private room with her. You come back and you're like, yo, nigga, I just fucked her in a private room. And I'm like, you just had sex in a champagne room with a stripper? $60? Okay, so we know what that transaction was, right? That was transactional sex. She gave you the box in exchange for $60, a low value box at that, $60. Then there was a loyalty at a club called Pure Passion, located in Columbia, South Carolina, on Two Notch Road. And you told me you slept with her in the private room. You didn't say anything about money, but I'm pretty sure money was involved. Who else was there? Superstar. You told me you slept with a stripper named Superstar. You had sex with her in the private room, and you had sex with her in your car parked in the back of the club. Okay, that's another stripper. I'm pretty sure money was involved there. Then you said there was another young lady in that same club called Mr. Lucky's, located off Broad River Road. Her name was Butter. Same situation, and I'm just thinking like, damn, he getting action, but he getting action from strippers. Now, this is when I knew for a fact that he was paying these strippers for sexual services. There was one club that we were going to in Columbia, located on Two Notch Road. It was called Sensations. It's probably not there now. The building probably is, but it's probably called some other shit right now. We're in that club, and because I'm originally from Washington D.C., and he's originally from Long Island, New York, we have our way of speaking, our own. I guess they call it northern accents, and we have our own slang that we use that most of the people in the southern states haven't heard before, don't quite understand. It gave us a certain level of appeal amongst the men that were already down there. Okay, so there was one particular girl. Her stripper name was Hennessy, and I remember she was always in my face. Like every time I came to the club, she was always in my face. She was fell within the aesthetic that I like, that petite, athletic frame. She was cute. She was cool. You know what I mean? She could converse. More importantly, after I want to say probably like 3 weekends of us visiting this particular club, because that was literally like kind of like our thing on a Friday night or a Saturday night. On one of those 2 nights, every weekend we would go to a different strip club because there was so many of them around, right? And I remember talking to this particular dancer. Her name was Hennessy. And I remember when it got to a point where I was like, yo, she just like really digging me, man. Let me see what's up, man. Let's exchange numbers, and let's try to make some arrangements to hang out outside of this club. And she was like, okay, cool. But leaned over in my ear, and she's like, you gotta pay to play. And I'm like, pay to play? What the fuck does that even mean? Mind you, at the time I'm 20. The fuck does that even mean? And she's like, you ready to spend some of that cheddar? Cheddar is a word that I recognize. That is slang for money. So like, spend some of that cheddar to hang out with you outside of the club? Oh hell nah. I know what this is. I know what the fuck this is. So I get up. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I get up and I start to walk away from it. Now I'm pissed because I didn't invested this much time into communicating with her. You know what I'm saying? Thinking that we're actually bonding or connecting in some kind of way, right? As I'm storming away from her, Macintosh ass is right there in the club, looking like a fucking bump on the log. And he sees me and he's like, "Yo, what's up with you, son?" I'm like, "Nah, man. Little chick that I've been talking to, Hennessy, man. As I'm trying to press the issue, she gonna hit me with, you gotta pay to play. You know what I mean?" And he's like, "For real?" I'm like, "Yeah, nigga. This she told me." I said, "Man, that shit is done, man. I'm not speaking to her ass ever again if I know she going like that." I walk in one direction on the club. Macintosh monkey ass started walking right towards her with his wallet out, talking about something. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what? Why is he talking to her? I literally just explained to you what type shit she on. Why are you in her face? Why am I all of a sudden every time I walk past a certain spot in the club, you in a motherfucking corner with her, like you trying to have secret conversations and shit? Shit was weird to me, right? That's when I knew that all of these strippers, these exotic dancers, these entertainers that he had claimed that he had slept with, it was a pay to play type situation. That's what was actually going on. Okay. So now let's fast forward to years later and to these conversations that we've been having over the course of the last maybe 10 years, and situations of other young ladies that he was dealing with that all brought me to the same conclusion. Okay. I want you guys to listen to this through its entirety, and I want you to comment below when this video is over with whether you come to the same conclusion that I did. All right. So for starters, when we got out of the military, which was in 2003, um, over the span of that maybe 10 years, 12 years after we originally got out of the military, Macintosh was always talking about the same two girls, okay? One girl, I don't even know her real name. We called her Pink. And another girl was called Dominican because she was of Dominican ethnicity, or, she was of Dominican. She was Dominican, right? These were the only two women that he talked about. And I mean, exclusively talked about these two women. Now, with Pink, there was a situation with Pink, and this kind of all brought this. I'm like taking mental notes of this shit while it's everything that happens. It's almost like my mind has like a little sticky note. Just save this for later. For some, I don't know why, but this shit is going to be relevant later. So I remember he went to. We both had the 9/11 GI Bill, right? He used it to go to school, just like I did, because the military pays us every month if we're enrolled in school. So we both use it. So they're giving you money, and they also pay your tuition with that. And they give you a books and supply stipend as well. So while we have that money, it gives us the advantage of not having to apply for student loans, okay? Because a lot of people acquire debt from college because they apply for student loans. If you have the 9/11 GI Bill, the military is taking care of you, like I said, your books and supplies. They're taking care of your tuition, and they're sending you a monthly stipend. So there's no reason for you to ever request any type of government assistance when it comes to school. For whatever reason, Macintosh decided that he wanted to apply for a student loan, despite the fact that he has the GI Bill and he doesn't need a student loan. Okay. He gets approved for the student loan. Obviously, he signed off, he put his signature everywhere to acknowledge the terms of this loan. And they gave him, I don't know, I think $60,000, something like that. He didn't pay on his student loan at all, despite the fact that he was getting money from the military to do so. He didn't pay on it at all. So the government had this contract and they sued him in court, unbeknownst to him, and start garnishing his wages, right? Now, I remember when they were taking his wages, I think they were taking something like $600 from him a month. And I remember how he reacted, like it was like that was life changing. They're taking $600 away from me a month, son. This is fucking crazy. I got to figure out a way to beat this shit. And I'm thinking to myself, like, why? Like you live at home with your mother. Your mother's not charging you any rent. You know what I mean? So you pretty much got all of your paycheck to pay your car note, your phone bill, to buy clothes, whatever the fuck. Like $600 a month. That ain't shit for an obligation. You know what I mean? And he's like, yeah, son, it's just a fucking principle, son. You know, I be needing that fucking money. I be doing shit with that money. And I'm like, $600 a month should not be no life changing shit. You know what I mean? I'm like, you entered into the contract, you knew it was coming, but conversation number one, that was weird. Okay. Conversation number two, that was even weirder about it, was when he was talking about Pink. Now, um, Pink was like 23. Okay. And just for full disclosure, he only dates women that are under the age of 25. Macintosh is now, I believe he is 46. Okay. He only dates women that are under the age of 25. Once you touch 26, he don't want to talk to you no more. You know what I mean? Only younger women, right? So with Pink, I'm not sure where he met Pink at. Maybe he met her at a fast food chain. I don't know where he met her at. I can't remember the details of that conversation. But I do remember him saying that he and Pink were having an adult relationship. Now, I remember one day he told me that he was supposed to meet up with Pink because he's from Long Island. I'm not sure where in NYC she actually lives, but they were meeting up in Brooklyn. And what was supposed to happen was Pink was supposed to park her car in the same parking lot where they were meeting up. And then she would just get in his car and then they would go to a hotel where he would pay for a room so that they can have their alone adult time together, right? And I remember him telling me that as she pulled up to the parking lot and she entered the parking lot, police vehicles came behind her and turned on their lights and sirens, right? Pulling her over. When she gets pulled over, police come to the window with their usual routine, driver's license, registration, whatever the hell. And I guess they found out, I don't know if they found out that her license was suspended, he explained to me. And they used that as an opportunity to have her to step out the vehicle to conduct a search. In conducting of the search, they found that she was in possession of a bag of cocaine. Is I believe in its powder form, like on Snowfall, cocaine, not crack cocaine, but cocaine in its powder form, right? They find this and they arrest her, take her to jail. She sits in jail over the weekend because this happened on a Friday. So she's in jail Saturday, Sunday. She gets released on Monday and she has to come back for a scheduled court date pending the charges. They're charging her with possession of a level 4 substance. She didn't get intent to distribute because she only had the baggie, but just the fact that she was in possession of it, they were charging her with that, right? During this whole weekend, he's calling her phone, trying to get in contact with her, trying to see what's going on with her. He finally talks to her on Monday and he's like, yo, what's going on? You know, what's good? You trying to chill? And she's like, you know what? I don't ever want to fucking talk to you again. If I wasn't on my way to that parking lot to see you, then the police would have never pulled me over. They would have never seen the cocaine in my fucking car. I would have never got arrested. I wouldn't have a fucking criminal record. All of that shit happened because I went out of my way to see you. So I don't ever want to fucking see you again. Don't talk to me no more, right? You would think with something that boldened that you would respect those boundaries. Like, well, okay, well, fuck you then. No, not Macintosh. Macintosh is, for lack of a better word, sex obsessed. And it ain't even got to be about sex. It just got to be about women. Like if he has an opportunity to see a woman's genitalia, or even to believe that he has an opportunity to sleep with this woman can walk all over him, and he will be there for the abuse because he has an objective in mind that he's looking to accomplish, and that's simply to sleep with her as often as he wants, whenever he wants. You know what I mean? It sound like it would be easier to get married to get a girlfriend, but no, that's not what he does. So after she told him to kick rocks, essentially, Macintosh is very obsessive, very controlling, and manipulative. Okay. He will treat these women as if they're theirs, even though they're not. So if he sees somebody else with them, it's driving him crazy on the inside. So what he would do was stalk this young lady's social media pages, and he did this shit for years. He stalked her social media page for years. This is why I say over the course of 12 years, he was always talking about the same young ladies. He was stalking these young ladies' pages for years, watching her to see what she was doing. Now, somewhere within those years, she actually moved from New York and she moved to California somewhere to like try to get into music or something like that. And she actually changed her sexuality from heterosexual to lesbian. He's watching all of this. You know what I mean? And he's telling me all of this stuff. And I'm just thinking, like, why the fuck are you even still talking about this girl, bro? She told you she don't want to talk to you no more, dog. She live in LA. You probably ain't gonna never see her again. You know what I mean? Anyway, she eventually came back to New York because whatever she went to LA for, it didn't pan out in her favor. So she eventually came back to New York City where her family is. Okay. And when she came back to New York City, he was updated by that via her social media. Macintosh resorted to some crazy shit to try to get this young lady back into his life. You know what I mean? I did a video on this channel. It's entitled Don't or Why You Shouldn't Practice Voodoo or Spell Work If You Don't Know What You're Doing. Okay. The title of that video can be misleading. It would probably lead you to believe that I am a practitioner of these spiritual practices. I am not. This story is about Macintosh and one of the drastic measures that he was willing to go to in order to try to get this young lady. If you haven't had a chance to view that video, I want you to check that video out. It is actually the second upload on this channel, probably about 10, 11 months ago now. That is a story 100% about Macintosh and that whole endeavor. I'm not going to go into it in this video, but just know that that was one of the extremes that he was willing to go to try to manipulate this young lady's spiritual energy into wanting him, which to me is already weird as fuck, right? So throughout the course of this, he's also having conversations with me about another young lady. I think she was like 23. We called her Dominican, right? Apparently him and Dominican were having like adult playtime as well, right? um and I think what happened with Dominica is some of his requests, some of the things that he wanted to do with her sexually. I think Dominica had demanded that he take some drug test. I said drug test, some fucking STD screening. That he take some STD screening and show her the results before she agrees to do these things with him or allow him to do these things to her, whatever the situation was, right? And he's like, man, fuck no, I'm not taking no damn STD screening test. I'm not doing all that and da 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 da. So what do you think happens? Dominica stops talking to him. And the next thing you know, he's watching her social media pages just like he was going with Pink. Dominica finds herself in a relationship with a guy that is young, like he's the same age as her, dark skin with dreads, skinny, dark skin guy with dreads. And Macintosh is infuriated by this. Like, why the fuck she gonna get with this nigga? You know what I'm saying? I got a car, you know what I mean? I got all this gear, I got a job, I got money. Fuck she gonna get with this nigga for? I'm like, but probably because that's her preference, bro. You got to remember, you like 20 years older than her, bro. She probably like dudes that are dark skinned, skinny, with dreads that are closer to her age. That's what she wants. It doesn't matter what you have. If that's what she prefers, that's what she's always going to be drawn to. So she's in a relationship with this guy. She ends up marrying this guy within probably like a year, having a baby with this guy within like a year and a half. You know what I'm saying? And guess what Macintosh is still doing? Still stalking her fucking social media pages, right? Still looking at her pages every fucking day. And he's trying to figure out when she and him are breaking up or when they're arguing, when they're having a fight, so he can figure out when's the best time to reach out to her. And as he's explaining this shit to me, I'm like, bro, you need to let this shit go, bro. Like, this girl then moved on. Okay. She didn't got married. She didn't got a kid. She didn't got with a guy that is exactly what she wants in terms of, her physical particular aesthetics. That's what he is. Like, she doesn't want you in that way. Nothing's going to make her want you in that way. She hasn't talked to you in probably what, 5 fucking years, and you're still watching her social media pages. You need to hang it up, bro. I said, bro, is she still friends with you? Does she still follow you on these social media platforms? And he's like, no. I'm like, well, that should be a key indicator that she has absolutely no interest at all in what the fuck is going on with you. So the fact that you're still stalking all of her pages to watch to see when her and her husband are arguing or some shit like that, he's texting me talking about, yo, her baby must be ugly as shit, son, because she's always hiding her baby's face. I'm like, a lot of people hide their child's face when they take a picture of it on social media. It doesn't. I'm like, bro, what? All of this shit shouldn't matter to you, but to him, for whatever reason, the shit did. He kept watching all of her shit despite what I was telling him, and then one day he hit me with this. He's like, "Oh shit, son, I think they might be arguing. I think they might be broken up or separated or something. Now it's a chance for me to do it. I'm just trying to find an angle to message her." I'm like, "Bro, don't do it." And he's like, "Nah, son, I seen that she liked this fucking post that I liked on Instagram. So I'm gonna message her and I'm gonna be like, yo, I didn't know that you like this same shit." And I'm like, "Bro, I'm trying to tell you right now, if you do that, you're gonna make yourself look thirsty, desperate, and she's gonna fucking block your ass." Because I know if a random, well, not a random person, I know if somebody that I used to deal with years ago, text me or DM'd me on Instagram, was like, "Oh shit, I didn't know you like this exact same post, this exact same post on Instagram." I'm like, "What the fuck? How the fuck you know what posts I'm liking on Instagram? That's some weird shit. Let me fucking block you to get you out of my fucking energy." I said, "That's what the fuck is going to happen if you message her. If I was you, I wouldn't do it." Of course, he don't want to listen to me. Like I told you, he's controlling, he's manipulative, he's obsessive. He sends her the fucking message. She does exactly what I told you. She blocked him, right? Those are the two women that he talked about exclusively. Now let's get back into these conversations that he was having, or that we were having over the course of our, I say, from the time we got out of the military to the time we stopped being friends. So probably over the course of like maybe 17 years. Let's get back to these conversations. So I already told you about the student loan thing. All right. Now, Macintosh works for like New York Water or something like. I don't know the exact name of the company, but they're basically the company that's responsible for generating your water bills. So he goes out and he checks your water meter to see how much it changed from the last month, so he can know exactly how much to report back to the company, so the company can know how much to charge you for your water bill or something to that effect, right? That's where he works. Now, apparently, he gets paid on a weekly basis. This was something that I did not know could take place, but he was getting paid on a weekly basis from a government job. So he got paid every week. Okay. This is the reason why them garnishing his wages due to the student loan was such a big fucking deal, because he got paid weekly. So if they're taking 600 a month from him, I don't know if it means that he's losing a whole paycheck, or if they're taking, I don't know, like 175 or something every week. I don't know how they were doing it, but they were doing it, and it was a big deal to him, right? This would be clue number 2. So he gets paid once a week. Keep this in mind. They're garnishing his wages and he's fucking flipping out over it. That's 2. All right. Then we move on and we're having a different conversation. And I think we were talking about dating and how society is, and how difficult dating has become, how it's changed, how difficult dating has become for, I would say men, but it's become difficult for both men and women because of social media, and so many people have so many options, like so many attention, so much attention. So as we're talking about that, um, I was like, I was having a conversation with some guys at work, and I was like, kind of surprised at like when some of them told me the last time they had actually been sexually involved with a woman, like how long it's been. I was actually surprised by that. One of these dudes was married. And you thinking if he's married, he's supposed to be, you know, every night, you know what I mean? Or majority times out of a week. And he was talking about nah, sometimes he might go like weeks without any activity with his wife. And this guy's young, like mid-30s. And he just like, yeah, son, like me personally, nigga, I only fuck like once a week. And I'm like, once a week. He's like, yeah, son, I only fuck on Sundays. And I'm like, who the fuck has a particular day of the week that they're gonna limit themselves to having sex on, right? Who does that? Not only do you have a particular day of the week, you're restricting yourself the amount of times that you're gonna do it. Like, I'm only gonna have sex once and it's gonna be on a Sunday. That's like some weird shit. But then I thought he also gets paid once a week. There's only one Sunday in a week. He gets paid once a week, right? We starting to make the connections here. All right. So I'm like, if he's only having sex once a week and he's restricting the number of times he has sex and has the day that he's going to have sex scheduled, down to a schedule, the only thing that could be, it has to be connected to his money in some kind of way because he also gets paid once a week. So I'm like, okay, I'm just listening. Like I said, at this point, I'm not calling him out on this shit, but I'm just listening to this shit. Get paid once a week, wages are being garnished. We know he's dealt with like 4 or 5 strippers when we were in the military, so he's cool with pay to play. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking, shit, okay, all right. So now we get into the fallout, and this is where I'm like, okay, I know what's actually happening, and the fallout actually came because I'm trying to give this motherfucker some real life manly advice, like how you need to maneuver when it comes to women dating and matters pertaining to such. Right? One day he calls me and he tells me he lives in Long Island. He does not like going into New York City because of the traffic. Okay, but he told me that he was going to meet up with this young lady so they can go out on a date. She lived in Brooklyn in one of the projects. I guess they call everything in Brooklyn a project. So maybe I'll just say in one of the high rises or one of the high rise buildings like that. But they call everything in Brooklyn a project. He's like, yeah, that's what she lived at. He was like, so we had a so I pull up, and when I get there, we were supposed to meet up at I don't know, like 11 p.m., 10 p.m., let's say 10 p.m. And when I get there, what I mean? We talked on the phone and everything. And she's like, all right, she about to get in the shower, all this. So I drive there. I get there. I pull up. I text her, let her know I'm outside. He's like, she don't answer. Said he wait like 10 minutes. He texts her again. She don't answer. Then he says he calls her. She doesn't pick up. Doesn't call him back. Sends her a couple more texts over the period of 60 minutes, and she never answered a single text, never replied, never called him back, nothing. He's pissed. He gets in his car. He leaves. After he explained it to me, I said, bro, never speak to this woman again. I'm trying to tell you, if a woman is playing those kind of games with you, she has no respect for you. She has no respect for your time. Okay? Don't talk to her again, G. I'm trying to tell you, if she call you, don't fucking answer her phone. If she fucking text you, I would fucking reply, who is this? You know what I mean? Like, delete her fucking number out of your phone. Don't contact her no more. Don't talk to her. Shit, son. Can't do that, man. I'm trying to smash that joint, son. I can't do all that shit, son. I'm like, bruh, I don't know why the fuck you continue to deal with women who show you the same behaviors repeatedly. They don't value your time. They don't value they don't value you. They treat you any old kind of way, and you will continue to fucking stick around like like what they have, what you want from them is like the end all be all, bro. Like, it just cannot be any other way. And he's like, nah, fuck that shit, son. Like, you always trying to tell me shit about women and shit and trying to talk like you, what you think you like the smartest person in the world or something? I said, on the contrary, my nigga, no. You think you're the smartest person in the world. You're the same nigga that spend all fucking day long on YouTube watching fucking videos about shit that you think is interesting, and then you'll run to your fucking Facebook and you'll fucking post it as if you spent years researching that particular topic, when in fact you just spent the last hour watching a video on it, trying to trick people into thinking that you're more intelligent than you actually are. This pissed him off. He don't like being called out about shit. He don't like when you're, what's that phrase? The truth hurts. He don't like when you're doing shit like that. So when I'm throwing this at him, he's like, nah, fuck that shit, son. That ain't even what it is. That ain't even what it is. Niggas be on my Facebook. They be talking to me. I said, bro, you do know I'm friends with you on Facebook, right? I see all of these posts that you post, and then I myself, I'm looking at them like, nigga, nobody ain't got no interest in this shit. And then I look at the post, it has no likes, it has no comments, it has no engagement, bro. Nobody who you're posting that shit for has any interest in what you're posting, bro. So stop trying to pretend that you did years of research on this topic. And people, when they read that shit, they're gonna just like, oh, this dude's intelligence is on another level. Like, nah, that's not what's going on, right? So he was pissed off about this. So he tries to start saying little things about me. That's why what he say? This with your ex, this is what's going on with your ex-wife. That's why this and that. And other. I'm like, nigga, hold on, nigga. I told you that shit first and foremost. And it's crazy because every time I tell your dumbass some shit, you always side with whoever the other fucking person is. I really think that you motherfucking jealous of me, bro. I think you, I think, and then I don't know what it is. I think it's because of how intelligently I speak, how articulate I can tell a story, how articulate I can say things, and you can't. Like every time you talk, it's always a you know what I mean? Yeah, like it's you can't speak like me. I think you hate the fact that I speak so intelligently, yet you think you're the smartest person in the room and you can't speak like you're the smartest person in the room. I think you can't stand that. I think you hate the fact that you're only 5'7" and I'm actually 6 feet tall. Like you're shorter than average height for a man. No offense if one of you viewers out there happen to be 5'7", but I'm speaking more so about his feelings towards me. I think you're jealous of the fact that I'm 6 feet tall and you're not. I think you're jealous of the fact that you're short and stocky and I'm tall and athletic. Probably jealous of the fact that some of the women that you wanted to deal with, I actually dealt with them. Like when you tried to secretly go behind my back and talk to my ex-girl, he was like, nah, son. I eventually told you about that shit years after the fact. I said, yeah, years after the fact. When were you actually trying to talk to her though? Probably during the same time that she was my girl. Probably shortly after that. But the fact of the matter is that you didn't say nothing to me until I had already dealt with somebody else and she was dealing with somebody else. That was some shit that you kept tucked away. What you didn't realize is that she was never going to get with you in the first place because attraction still plays a part in who she deals with. You know what I mean? Even though I say it plays less of a role, that doesn't mean that it's non-existent. She still has to find you attractive. And I think you probably hated the fact that you tried to get with her and she rejected you. And now it makes sense why he tried to get with her. Nigga been paying for box for 20 plus years. Probably got tired of the restrictions on his finances that were going to prevent him from being able to engage in that behavior more often than as often as he wanted to. Okay. So when he realized that there was this girl who was attractive, who lived closer to him than I did, who was sexually open, that was into all of these different sexual things, that he was seeing all of these half nude pictures of, and then he got to stalking her social medias and finding her doing like sexual things on the internet. He was like, holy shit, I need to try to talk to her because if I can talk to her, I can probably spend less money on the box than I've been spending on it over the course of the last 20 years. Mind you, how much money do you think this motherfucker has spent if every single Sunday, what he says, he's spending, I don't know what the fuck the price is on fucking box every Sunday, which is 52 Sundays in a year over the course of 20 years. What's that, like 1,000? That's like 1,000 Sundays, right? A little bit over 1,000 Sundays. And I don't know, let's say the price is like $100. That's like $100,000. My nigga, you spent $100,000 on the box over the course of 20 fucking years. Shit, hey, that's fucking crazy. Hey, I'm gonna tell y'all something. That's the conclusion that I came to because I know this guy. I want y'all to be sure that y'all check out a video that I got on the channel entitled Why You Shouldn't Practice Voodoo or Spell Work If You Don't Know What You're Doing. It is about Macintosh. I did not use his name, Macintosh, in that particular video, but I'm letting you guys know that video is not about me. It is about Macintosh and a story, a very unique story, of some things that he resorted to try to gain control over a situation that he absolutely had no control over. I think y'all will find that story very entertaining. But I want y'all to comment below whether y'all come to the same conclusions that I did. Was Macintosh paying for the box for 20 plus years? Or am I tripping? Am I tripping? Mind you, at that particular time that he told me that he had been with over 100 women, I think I myself at that particular time was only hovering like around 24. And that's why I'm like, whoa, I was getting way more action than you in the military. Like, how are you getting way more action than me outside of the military? Something just ain't adding up. Okay. Comment below what y'all think. And yeah, I'm gonna see you guys in the next video. Peace.